Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and wherever you're watching in the world. Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and wherever you're watching in the world, welcome along to what is the formation lap, the final formation lap of the season here at the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache for the season finale of the GPVWC Superlights Season 3. Drivers in with a shot of the title with an intermediate track on the horizon, but the most important part is it is not raining. As you can see, we've got McGinley on pole position, Jan Grangfist, the championship protagonist and championship leader, going into tonight in second place. Then it's Moritz Krupp in third, Simon Frelich in fourth, Luke Maguire in fifth with Tom Stevens in sixth, Sandeep Singh in seventh, and Pascal Polenz in eighth place. Rounding off the next four positions, 9th place Chris Butcher and 10th place Alex Liu. In 11th place Joseph Herlock, 12th place Dylan Platt. Rounding off our next four positions, Lewis Bickers in 13th place, Mateusz Grzowski in 14th, Adrian Faber in 15th place, Noah Tuomela in 16th place. Next four, 17th place David Wasserman, in 18th place Maxi Geisinger, 19th place Giuseppe Saracino, 20th place Daigoro Staurengi. And rounding off our final three grid positions of tonight, Sylvie Yoffert in 21st, Ben Willis in 22nd, and Tom van der Voort in 23rd place. For the quickest introduction you'll ever see, my name is Kieran McGinley. Ewan Gale joining alongside me in the commentary box. Ewan, we've only got about 15 seconds or so before this race gets started. We've already got someone in the pits. How are you doing?
Yeah, good. We're really excited to see who will come out on top of the drivers and the teams. As you said, really tricky conditions to start. Let's see how we get through the first lap.
Well, it's Jan Grangfist, Simon Frelich and Luke Maguire all going to battle it out tonight to take that top spot here in Superlights. We're moments away then from the season finale getting underway in these tricky conditions here at the Brazilian Grand Prix. But who will it be that comes out on top? McGinley on pole position there for Ghost Speed. Away we go then. And what are the starts like as we make our way on towards the first corner then? It looks like then that's Jan Grangfist trying to make the move very early on, but can't quite do it just yet. A couple of cars running wide in the distance, but it's McGinley just about gets his power down and on towards the backstretch then as we make our way on towards now turn 4. With green flags and green lights waving all the way. It's nearly 2 wide, 3 wide. A dry line is already forming out there, and maybe a driver or two thinking about the soft tyres this early stage, but majority of the field are on a set of intermediates. But we'll give you all the updates as and when we get them. Giuseppe Saracino has rolled the dice. He's put on a set of soft tyres. He's already gambled on the track drying up very, very quickly. We'll see how it all pans out. But Owen McGinley then getting the power down, getting the good start that he needed. Jan Grangfist though doesn't need to take the lead, Ewan. All he needs is 4th place in this race and he will be crowned the champion.
Yeah, and crucially, both of his rivals are behind him. Maguire outside shot, of course, needs a lot to go his way, but it was Saracino, as you rightly pointed out, pitting on the end of the first lap. This is Ben Willis, side by side, a little bit of contact as well with Joseph Herlock. So Herlock a bit out of position compared to recent races. Willis on his comeback into the series after a few races out, back in with drag and back on track, doing a nice job. I thought I saw someone back into the pits. It was Pascal Polenz, so Polenz rolls the dice as well.
And Luke Maguire has made the move, then moves up into second place. Meanwhile, Alex Liu started 10th place, trying to get the power down and moves himself ahead of Sandeep Singh. And Sandeep Singh here, well, moved up to the Brazilian Grand Prix, has come for the finale. He wanted to go last to first. I'm disappointed he didn't go in through with that promise, but nevertheless, he's in 9th place at the moment and trying to make his way up the order as we ride on board with Dylan Platt, then making our way up the hill then towards turn 5, and such a tricky section here in the dry most of all. Yeah, but then you add a bit of water and moisture to the track and that gets a little bit more damp, as you see there. Dylan Platt, a couple of drivers actually almost loosen that back end slightly just to get themselves closer, and I guess the front end pointing towards the apex there, Ewan.
Yeah, Sachin's already had an issue. He's out of the race already, so maybe it is a little bit wet at the moment. But yeah, really difficult conditions, and it's a real sort of dilemma for the guys in championship contention. Remember, we've got a teams championship as well to fight for. Only 9 points in it between THR and Royal Blue. And look at this Grangfist pits then. This is a big gamble for Grangfist. Maybe a gamble he doesn't need to take, but he'll come through. So McGalgi now leads Maguire, Frelick, Stevens, Crop and Butcher.
Oh, championship leader into the pits. As you said, it's a risk he's taking. Maybe he doesn't need to make it, but maybe he's going to be the first one to get onto a real set of dry tyres and put the pace down. We'll have to keep an eye on those lap times. That's going to promote Luke Maguire into second place, and then it's Tom Stevens rounding off the top 3.
Yeah, big slide already in the pits for Grangfist. Looks like a set of hard tyres, not surprised. Oh, and again, it's so leery for the pits. This looks treacherous. This is brave. I'm surprised Jan went for it so early with so much to lose.
Well, in fairness, Ewan, the pit lane is always going to be treacherous because it's the one bit of track that actually isn't used. But we'll see now. You see that dry line. Let's see what the lap times are going to be like. Of course, he's just limited now to that dry line, whereas majority of the rest of the field are on those intermediate tyres, so they could look for moves up the inside and see how it all plays out. And McGorgy then leading the way just over a second ahead of Luke Maguire, and then it's Tom Stevens rounding off the top 3. Simon Frelick in 4th place with Moritz Krupp in 5th, Chris Butcher in 6th, and a whole ream of cars coming into the pit lane. It's almost a case now of who hasn't pitted. One of them who hasn't pitted is Chris Butcher, still on those intermediate tyres.
Yeah, I mean, these guys all had to come in basically. They had no other choice, especially with Grangfist and Polenz. Polenz is flying on his tyres. Purple sectors in Sector 1 and Sector 2. So the drivers are the right ones to go on. Like I said, just a bit surprised that Jan, with so much to lose, was one of the first to go on it. But, you know, that is the mark of a champion, I guess. So he is in prime position now. He's got the pace down. Where's he going to come out? Where's McGalgi going to come out in comparison? Probably slightly up the road. No, he's behind, isn't he? Yeah. Chaos in the pit lane, look.
Chaos in the pit lane, and it's all now spilled out onto the track. What that's done then is Grangfist now takes the lead.
Oh, Maguire.
Luke Maguire. Yeah, he must have lost it in the pit lane. As you say, it was a treacherous pit lane. It looked so tricky for Grangfist when he was exiting the pit. Has the pit lane caught out Luke Maguire, and has that put a dent into what was an outside chance of a championship, but an outside chance is still a chance.
Yeah, lost front wing last time out in Mexico, cost him big time, and you know, then he had tech issues towards the end of the race. That took him out. That really took him out of the championship race. He needed everything to go his way. This isn't going his way at all, is it? So disaster for Luke Maguire. Turn our attention then, championship wise, to Frelick and Grangfist. What it does do though is it hurts THR's quest for the teams championship. So look at that. Yeah, just understeered by the looks of it. Oh no, he's already lost it by that. He's already lost it by that point.
Yeah, so just trying to pick it up. Oh, he's in the pit lane. Oh, so that wasn't even the wall at all. And he's run into the back of another competitor, and that is the end of his front wing. And, well, there's still a long, long way to go in this race, Ewan. You never know what could happen. But for Luke Maguire, this is a massive dent into what was already an outside chance.
Yeah, chaos in the pit lane as you've got so many people coming in and people. Oh yeah, look, it's tight. He did well to get around that one actually. Looking at the back on track, yeah, that's a disaster, isn't it? Was that the other Royal? Yeah, it was Bickers, wasn't it? In the other Royal Blue. So that's bad news for Royal Blue. That helps a little bit in the championship. So both teams having a car affected And it means that it's really Frelick against Butcher now for the championship, and at the moment THR doing nicely. Anyway, back up front, Grangfist, look at the gap he's got on the Gaugi. So that early pit stop was exactly the thing to do. Take back everything I said. That's why I'm not driving the cars.
Well, I'm not driving the cars either, Ewan. But Grangfist then up into what is second place at the moment. It's just Staurengi who's leading the way on those intermediate tyres. Still hasn't pitted as Daigoro Staurengi in that HG Esports Blue Bolt machine. But we'll see then. McGinley has pitted. We can say that for sure because he started on the intermediate tyres. He's now got himself onto a set of slicks. So he has definitely stopped in this race. Tom Stevens into the pit. So too is Joseph Hurler. But Jan Grangfist runs deep into turn 4 there. That is going to open up an opportunity for Pascal Polenz. And he's not been too bad at all in this race. Only a tenth of a second off of Jan Grangfist in that Super Venturi car as they now make their way in through towards turn 8, now down the hill, descending in towards turn 9, and Grangfist then trying to hold himself adrift. And yes, Staurengi is off. He's off and falling down the order very slightly, now down to 6th place on those intermediate tyres. Not sure what happened to Daigoro, but he's now down the order to 6th place. Grangfist meanwhile leading Polenz, and look at this, Polenz all trying to get the power down, trying to make himself a bit of a nuisance here to Jan Grangfist. I suppose in Jan's case, he knows P4 is all he needs to be crowned champion tonight. I don't suppose he'll mind too much if Pascal Polenz goes past, but this is Jan Grangfist we're talking about. If there's a chance of a win, he wants it.
Yeah, absolutely, and you know those two teams as well are locked in the challenge for 3rd in the teams championship as well. So not just Grangfist wanting to win on a high, but also good for the team as well. And of course, we've got promotion to Super League could be at stake for some of these as well. So plenty to play for. Stevens, teammate for the night, in at the Super Venturi, down in P5 on his stand-in. Ignore the graphic; he's not in the pits for 4 minutes and 12 seconds. But he is now all over the back of Shimon Frelick, and Staurengi has DNF'd.
He has now DNF'd out of this race. He was still on those intermediate tyres, not quite sure what happened to him, but what it does look like at the least is that he's out of this race. Tom Stevens then onto the back of Simon Frelick, who in turn is onto the back of Owen McGinley then, as they now make their way in through turn 10. There's David Wasserman then trying to get away past Adrian Faber then, as we ride on board with the Mode Auto Concepts machine, the number 5 car. Back onto the power he goes, climbing your way up towards turn 10. And that dry line, Ewan, obviously intermediates to dries is never an easy thing to do. Brief yellow flags as the car off up ahead. Is that Tuamela? It is Tuamela, who goes slightly wide, going in towards, I think that's turn 12, just before Jun Sao there. But he does manage to get his way back onto the track in that Red Arrow machine.
Yeah, he did well actually not to rotate it round in these conditions. So no harm done, carry on. It's all pointing the right way with all the things still connected to the track as it should be. So yeah, it was through Magula, wasn't it? I think it's just going to get. He's a little bit wide. He has actually spun it. So he's actually trying to get back onto the circuit and actually keeping it out of the way of everyone. So actually really good driving from Noah. Back on track, Pascal Polenz still hounding down Grangfist up. And what you see is that actually Polenz up is on the mediums and Grangfist is on the hard. So 2 different strategies already. We're looking at a 2-stop, a potential 3-stop on the dry tyres as it was. That was if you were starting the soft. So you're theoretically taking it as a starting point now. You'd imagine from here it'd be a 2-stop with no one needing to use the softs at the start. So maybe Grangfist can try and go hard medium towards the end, maybe another stop for hard to see how far they can go on this first stint. But of course slightly different it will be because of the track conditions as well.
Yeah, the track conditions having to start on intermediate, so there's a bit of a freer choice for the drivers and the teams in terms of which tyres they decide to run throughout the rest of this race. Regardless, it was a great time from Owen at McGinley then to get himself onto pole position as well. A real demon effort to get onto the top step, at least in qualifying. Currently running in 3rd place. Brief yellow flags in sector 1 before they've cleared. Riding on board then with Sylvie Yoffert in that last points paying position at the moment, trying to chase down David Wasserman in the Mode Auto Concepts number 5 machine, heading our way now down in towards turn 4. and back onto the power we go. And I think I was going to say about 3 laps ago about the challenges of a dry track in these intermediate conditions. You've got the dry line, but with these slick tyres, you stray a tyre off, as we saw with Tuamela, you are going to face the consequences very quickly and very harshly.
Yeah, you're stuffed, aren't you? Especially if you're in this sort of battle as we are with Silver and Darby. You know, you've got a bit of dirty air to contend with as well, which means that your front slide away from you, you're more likely to hit that wider line. So, you know, you're trying to get air to the front wing by ducking out of being directly behind as we got the other side again at the last sector.
I think it is.
Yeah, someone's still up ahead, so they are just going round him, aren't they? So yeah, it's difficult at the moment, and Gazowski is about to find himself under attack into turn 1.
Yeah, 13th place at the moment with Wasserman right behind. I think he's just about slotted back in. He lost a ton of positions to Gazowski. Then he was running up in the top 10, but the Hyperion esports driver now behind his teammate in Adrian Faber. They now make their way on towards the back straight towards turn 4. Grangfist does lead the way. Pascal Polenz in 2nd place. Owen McGilgy in 3rd with Tom Stevens 4th. Simon Frelick rounding off our top 5 drivers. And if you missed the start, well, what a start you missed. We started this race on the intermediate tyres, and already we've had Luke Maguire in trouble. That is what happened to Gajowski. Dropped it on the exit of Junsao and manages to spin it back up, and on a very slippery surface, he did well to keep that under control to get it back facing the right way again.
He did, but look how long it took him to get any sort of speed going when he was pointing in the right direction. Incredible. So Stevens, then we know, has got past Frelick, which is bad news for Frelick. Frelick's got no pace actually at the moment because Butcher's all over the back of him as well now. So Stevens nicely ahead now in P4 and chasing after McGalgy. Fastest lap of the race, not the last time around, the lap before for Stevens. So he's on the flyer with 2 Super Venturis, absolutely loving conditions. Does a fellow rock up to 9th at the moment, and he was way down the order before he made his pit stop. He was pretty much the first to pit, wasn't he? So proves how good that opening lap was as the track was dry.
Absolutely.
No, because he's off again.
No, he is off again. Yellow flag's out there in Sector 1. He's now dropped outside of the points as we see him rejoining. But is that rear wingless, I wonder? No, he's front wingless. Eyes playing tricks on me there, Ewan. But yes, front wingless for Gazowski. He'll have to bring that car, limp it all the way back. And that's possibly one of the worst places at the pit lane exit, because you've now got 4 kilometres without a front wing. Let's ride on board with Gazowski and see what happened behind his teammate running in P13. The time, you see his teammate battling away for position, braking now for turn 1, gets the car in, looks okay for now, through in towards turn 2, through the exit of the centre S's, and yeah, the car bit back, didn't it? Didn't like that bit of curbing there, and the car just didn't seem like it at all.
No, so not ideal, but he's doing well to get it back, and the way that the field is strung out, he'll have a chance of getting back out and back in, because it's only Maguire behind him. We know that Maguire and Alejo have already had issues as well, so he will still be in the chance, still be in with a chance of points, I should say. On board though is Sandeep Singh behind Frelick, so Frelick has lost out to Butcher. Frelick's not enjoying these conditions at all at the moment. For Royal Blue, championship going down the drain, and also the teams championship no good either because THR are flying, so no, not good for these two. I tell you what is interesting though is that if Super Venturi keep going the way they are, they'll be scoring a heap of points. Let's see what Tom Stevens could do in the second car.
Yeah, he'll be cheered on by Jan Grangfist leading the way. I'm sure Grangfist will have one eye on the drivers and the other eye on the constructors. They have the world to do in this last race to try and get themselves within that chance of clinching the team championship, but it's not impossible. They're on 314 at the moment. The target is THR with 347. Royal Blue on 388 before this race started. Sandeep Singh looking for a move down the inside of Simon Frelick, but the Royal Blue Racing machine does enough to just cover off that inside line for now. Grangfist leads the way, 1.3 seconds ahead of Pascal Polenz, who last time round set the fastest lap of the race, a 1:12.1 from Polenz in that Road to Formula Racing car. He is loving life out there. He was one of the first to come into the pits and put on a fresh set of slick tyres, rolled the dice, and my goodness, as the gamble paid off, 6 places up from where he started. Tuamela, meanwhile, is on the back of Silver Yoffert then, as he'll have to go the long way round of Silver Yoffert in towards turn 4, round the outside, but Silver Yoffert isn't having any of that, and Tuamela has to back out of the move and retains P14 for now.
Yeah, stunning work from both drivers to go side by side in conditions like these. It's still going to be slightly damp. It will get drier as the sun remains out, of course. But both in the points at the moment, both trying to advance their position, but they need to start thinking as well about moving forward rather than battling themselves as McGinley pumps in the fastest lap. Just to be clear, if Butcher finishes P5 for THR, then Super Von Churi would need a 1-2 to jump into P1. That's how it stands, and that's rain.
That is rain. That is absolutely rain falling on the circuit, and it just seems, you, whenever I'm here, the weather can't really decide what it wants to do. This happened in Japan, and it's happening now in Brazil.
I know, it's on and off, isn't it? So I tell you what, it would have been interesting to see what Starani could have been able to do if he wasn't. I don't think he has DNF. It says that he's back in, so I thought he'd retired from the race. But it would have been interesting because he was staying out on the inters, wasn't he, trying to do something a bit different. And he'd be in a great position if he'd been able to stay out. Here we go then, Joffre and Tuamela once again as Maguire puts the fastest lap in. This time Joffre has to see this. Tuamela goes around the outside but runs wide, and the TTF goes back through. So third time lucky next time maybe.
Well, how many chances will he have with the rain falling down like this to try and make the pass on slick tyres? We've got Krop into the pits from 20th place. And I think he's going on to a set of intermediate tyres. Yes, he is. The green wall tyres. He's got himself a penalty, though, which I can only assume is for speeding in the pit lane. But he is on a set of intermediate tyres. Well, I think it's slightly too early for intermediates. But then again, I'm up in the commentary box. He's out on track.
Yeah, he's already 2 laps down as well, so he's got nothing to lose is the other thing. It's really keeping your wits about you now. Look, Tuamela's really all over the back, isn't he, of Joffre? So Tuamela, I don't know whether Joffre had a bit of issue in the traction zone coming out against Yao, but Tuamela easily through there.
Yes, indeed, he's got that move done. It has been coming as he makes his way through the centre S. Riding on board now, Will Silver Joffre, as we can see the forms of rain droplets on the halo and on the chassis. As now Joffre now gets the DRS. He now moves to the inside of turn 4. Wanted to go for the move, but then backed out of it. And Tuamela can simply take the line he wants, gets the power down, and tries to move on up the road.
Just trying to keep an eye on Krop's sector times compared to everyone else's. And his middle sector's slow, actually. Yeah, he's a couple of seconds off. So the slick's still alright for now. You won't see too many people coming in as it stands, but this is difficult, and it's exactly what Jan Grankvist would not want. I know he's leading at the moment, but he would have just wanted a boring, dry race where he could have just driven around in circles and kept his nose clean. This is not what he would want at all, having to think about all of this.
Yeah, well, Jan had to look at who was in the commentary box tonight, and he would have known this would not have been an easy race no matter what. DRS is still online, though, so it's clearly dry enough to be using DRS, but, lap after lap, more rain falls on the circuit, damper it gets, and when does that psychological rain become something to worry about? When it starts getting on the racing line and you do start actually losing the grip you had out there. Meanwhile then, that battle for P13 still going strong. We've also got a battle for P6 as well. Sandeep Singh onto the back of Simon Frelich. That's for 6th place there, with Sandeep Singh within DRS range at the moment, but for just doing enough to hold the attack of Tuamela at this moment in time. Let's have a replay here. This is Silver Joffre. He bets the power down. Tuamela trying to follow behind. His way through in towards the final corners.
Nothing happened, did it? I was expecting to see a big slide on the exit or something from the TTF, but it just looked as if he got driven past. It was a bit interesting. I'm just having a look at the lap times. They're pretty much on par with what they were doing anyway. It's not as if the rain is affecting them at the moment.
I did see, actually, they did swap positions. So Joffre did try and pull aside to get the DRS, but there's Tuamela coming into the pits without a front wing. Now, what on earth has happened there? He's now into the pit lane. I suppose at this point, he can afford to roll the dice. He's had to pit in to replace that front wing. He might as well put on those intermediate tyres. Now let's see, riding aboard then with Tuamela. He's now making his way through in towards turn 10.
There's a car ahead of... Let's
have a look and see down towards turn 4. Is it here? Gets the power down. Doesn't look like it's here. It looks like it's towards the end of the lap perhaps, but it's at this point he's lost the front wing already, so...
But he was already behind your fair. I don't... That's a confusing one. I'll be honest with you. Very intriguing. Oh, he's gone off on McGinley again, hasn't he? Because he's ended up facing backwards with no front wing at UNCL, so he's gone off on McGinley or on the exit of it.
There you go. Absolutely right there. Yeah. Mystery solved for Tuamela, although he already knew that, unfortunately. But he's now rejoined onto the track then, and he hasn't gone for a set of any wet weather tyre.
He's gone for soft.
He has. He's back out on the softs, back out on slick tyres. So that is a huge gamble. He clearly expects the rain isn't going to stay around for long. Tom van der Voort then making his way through the drag racing machine. His way up the hill.
I'll tell you how much the rain's affecting him. Grankvist has just done his fastest lap of the race.
Yeah, so not really affecting them too much then. It is that psychological rain there. There is your race leader.
Polenz is in the pit.
Polenz is into the pits. Now, he was the first to come in to change tyres and put on a set of slicks when it was drying up. Let's see what tyres he leaves the pit lane with then.
Yeah, mediums. I think he's gone medium, so he's done what? He's say 18 laps on. Or are they now hards? No, they're mediums, aren't they? They're yellow. Yeah, so he was on mediums for what, 18 laps, give or take. So it's going to be a two-stop, isn't it, for people?
It would be a two-stop. It's a two-stop, assuming that this rain, which I'm assuming that everybody's thinking the same thing, this rain might be here, but it either won't be here for long, or it's not going to be heavy enough to really warrant going onto a set of intermediate tyres. Because, as you said, Grankvist, personal best 112.1. Tom Stevens, personal best 112.0. As we're going side by side here, Dylan Platt and Pascal Polenz going side by side. Polenz on the fresher tyres, and I think Dylan Platt just conceded defeat there. We have 40 laps to go, and Pascal Polenz moves himself up into 7th place.
That was pretty special, guys, wasn't it, from both of them? Yeah, good work from Pascal Polenz, and that, of course, opens up a nice 4-second stretch for him to start pulling into, because he'll undercut people as they pit. Butcher and Singh also, and Singh had just gotten past Frelick as well, so Frelick still going backwards in this race. Net 6th when all the pit stops sort themselves out, so let's see what these two do. I'm expecting mediums.
Well, Luke Maguire's come into the pits. He's put on a set of intermediate.
Inters for Butcher.
And so is Butcher. So the THR cars are going for intermediate tyres, whereas Sandeep Singh there looks like he's leaving on a set of slick tyres on the hards there, I think. So he's now making his way through, drizzling out on the circuit. But the THR cars both on a set of intermediates. In fact, we might switch it over. I think actually Sandeep Singh is on the intermediates.
Yeah, I think he is too. I think it's starting to rain a little bit heavier. I'd be intrigued. A lot of people starting to pit now as well and thinking about inters, but the lap times are still alright on the slicks. Grankvist only got 7/10 to his best lap on the last lap. What this does do is, if it is starting to go into inters as Grankvist does now pit, if this is going into inters, this is bad news for Polenz, who had just given up P2.
Yeah, just given up P2, got himself onto a fresh set of medium tyres, and he will be absolutely livid with that one. But will he try and commit to this? Because perhaps he's seen something we haven't. We saw Stalregi wanted to try and extend that intermediate tyres to get himself high up the order, at least have track position. Grankvist then leaving the pit lane. Those look like a set of intermediates to me. Here's Pascal Polenz. Oh, you can see the car twitching on the exit of the Senna S there. He hasn't actually lost too much time at all, but that's going to put Dylan Platt in striking distance then. That's a bit of a switch then in turn 4 through turn 5. Yeah, you can see Pascal Polenz is all out of grip at the moment.
Yeah, and they are hard tyres, so they sorted themselves out. We've got yellow flags in sector 2. It might be Butcher, because I saw Faber go past Butcher. No, maybe I'm wrong. Faber went past Butcher though, so that could have happened. Polenz though was 3 seconds slower than the last lap, and he was before Tumela with another front wing gone.
Another front wing gone. He was running wide on the entrance in towards turn 5, and that's another front wing needed for the Red Arrow Racing machine. It's not been a great day for Noah Tuamela at the moment. Grangfist then, as we saw, made his way out of the pit lane. Pascal Polenz in 4th place, but that rain has gotten heavier, and possibly heavier still, as he will now dive into the pit lane. That is a pit stop he did not need, and that's definitely a scenario he didn't want. Almost running into the back of the car ahead of him then. I think he just about avoided that one, but Pascal Polenz, a very, very lucky boy there. Of course, on the slick tyres, he's going to aquaplane more and more. I'm going to assume we're going to see this from the front wing camera. Well, let's talk about up close and personal here, Ewan.
I don't think I want to be honest. This is going to get really tight. I think it's Dalrengi coming into the pits.
There was contact there.
That was a yikes.
That was. Well, what that's done, though, as well. Tom Stevens is now up into 2nd place in the Super Venturi. This is exactly the scenario they wanted, the Super Venturi cars. They obviously occupy a 1-2. This is everything they could have dreamed of at this point. But
they will be Sandeep Singh's biggest fan as well, though, at the moment, because they need Sandeep Singh to get in front of Chris Butcher.
They will as well. Seeing how they get on. Sandeep Singh, well, for Super Venturi, they'll be hoping he has the widest road to Formula Racing car this season. And he'll be
scratch that, because with all of the drama that's going on, Luke Maguire's back in the points, he's in P13, so actually they need Butcher to plummet or Maguire to plummet. So THR back into championship position there, and the commanding championship position as it stands.
Yeah, by a handful of points, but it's all they need. Meanwhile then, Owen Agorgi then in 3rd place. A real dark horse of this race, grabbed pole position, currently running in 3rd, right behind Tom Stevens then. And, well, they've got to be careful with Super Venturi, because that Ghost Speed car, Owen Magorgi, has been really quick today. He really could cause an upset for the Super Venturis if they're not careful.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the problem that the Super Venturis have got is there's a decent gap, isn't there, between Stevens and Grangfist. So, not the problem the Super Venturis have got, the problem that the Ghost Speed's got. Apologies. So, McGaugy trying then to claw back in towards Tom Stevens and at least take 2nd, but he's really lost out through the pit stops as Van der Voort pits for his change of tyres. That's 4 wets, that is, on the dry car.
Yes, so he clearly thinks that there's enough standing water that you do need the wet weather tyres. I suppose for all the other teams and drivers, they'll be keeping a close eye on the telemetry that Tom van der Voort is about to set. He makes his way out of the pit lane and will rejoin this race in P14. And you can see, at least on the outskirts of the circuit, there is standing water starting to develop there. However, is it wet enough on the racing line? As you see, McGorgy then almost getting all sorts of out of shape then through the Center S, manages to gather the car up, but there's a lot more spray being picked up and displaced from these cars than there was a lap ago. That rain is getting heavier.
Yeah, and what you get in these sort of races as well is it's mentally fatiguing. No, the concentration levels, are you on the right tyre? You've got to make sure you're feeling the right stuff. You know, how's the car feeling in the conditions? Do I need to be on different tyres? As McGaugy goes slightly wider on the exit of Ferradura there. So, no, it's mentally fatiguing as much as it is behind the wheel as well. So Butcher looks sliding all the way through Ferradura as well. Polenz trying to get back up to where he should be, stuck behind the plat at the moment. But that rain shower really cost him with his timing of the pit stop. Yeah, this is fascinating. 8 seconds separate the two Super Venturis at the top, but there is a long way to go in this race, almost at halfway.
I was going to say, looking at the lap counter, we're at 25. We are not halfway distance yet, and that's how much action there has been so far. Grangfist leads the way. Tom Stevens in 2nd place, with Owen McGorgy rounding off the top three. Chris Butcher is in 4th place. Brief yellow flags out, which have been withdrawn. We're watching on from Pascal Palenz as he tries to close in on Dylan Platt, making his way out of Junsao and on towards these treble right-handers through in towards turn 15. They will go and on towards the start-finish straight. And, Dylan Platt comes into the pits and almost robs us of a good champion or a good scrap on track. But I think, if I can read Dylan Platt's mind, which I don't think I can, but I think this is going to be a wet weather tyre stop.
Yeah, I would imagine so, because he's already made that move to the Inter, so this is just a gamble to see how far he can get up, isn't it? I imagine. Or is that a genuine stop for him? I'm confused.
Yeah, the telemetry's flicked over, showing wet tyres. So Dylan Platt is now onto the full wet weather tyres as he makes his way out of the pit lane. Again, just a roll of the dice. And these rolls of the dice, they don't help Super Venturi. They've managed to get themselves 1 and 2 at the moment. It's now a case of, well, is there the chance they have to do a double stack and they'll have to try and open up a bit of a gap so they lose the least amount of time? And I suppose that's the only worry is if they want to stop, they don't have to stop. If they can see this wet weather clearing up at some point, they might stick with the intermediates. It's a real race. I have to say, Ewan, I'm glad I'm this side of the commentary box.
Yeah, but they've got 8 seconds, so they should be alright. McGilgie's dropped off the back now, isn't he? With Stevens in these conditions, he's not happy at all as it's gotten wetter. So Super Venturi's looking comfortable and will be able to double stack. In fact, Stevens is faster than Grandfist by a fair margin, so I wonder if Grandfist is just taking it steady, knowing he doesn't need to take any risks. Butcher is slower, but faster than McGilgie. Nobody on track is anywhere near the Super Venturis other than Luke Maguire in P11 and Pascal Palenz in B7.
As it stands then, it's not enough for the Super Venturis. It will still be THR's day. They currently have Luke Maguire in 11th place and they have Chris Butcher in 4th. So that's going to be 13 points for Chris Butcher. It's going to be 5 points for Luke Maguire. So if you do the maths, which I'm no good at, I believe that's 17 points, which would take them officially on to 364. And even with Super Venturi's 1-2 finish, if it were to finish like this, they'd only score 359. So THR on top by 5 points as it stands. But as we've said, as you said, Ewan, we're not even halfway through this race.
No, exactly, and what it does do though, sorry, is put Super Venturi ahead of Royal Blue if it stays like it does. So, good day for them at the moment. Frelick is trying to fight back a little bit, and he's got Sandeep Singh in his sights. That's McGilgie in the pits. Not surprised, he was struggling, he was slow, and he's coming for a set of wet. That's going to get tight. Ooh, yeah, good driving in the end. I think it was Leho, wasn't it, in the pits as well?
It was Lou. They both managed to just avoid tripping each other up, which was always the good order of the day, as Owen Goulby then exits the pit lane on those full wet weather tyres. Both Super Venturis still out in front on those intermediate tyres. That's going to put Chris Butcher now up into 3rd. Still on the Inters, the top 6 in this race, all on intermediate tyres. Owen McGorgy then is the lead wet weather runner. So he's going to be the one to watch out the lap times for. I'm sure you've already got one eye on the timing sheets to see what the second sector is going to be like.
Yeah, well, Dylan Platt on the wets was already a second faster than the leader last time round. So the wets are the ones to be on at the minute, I think. Faber also faster than the leader. The wets are the ones to be on if you can get them working for you.
Get them working for you. They are the ones to be on. Those are the words of Ewan Gale. You're enjoying this race so far as we watch on Simon Frelick to put some pressure on Sandeep Singh.
See how squirrely the car was under traction. That was frightening. I think Singh's pitted, isn't he? Yeah, so Singh's pitted, so is Jan Grandfist from the lead for a set of wet, and Stevens, a double stack he was for Super Venturi, but yellow flags in sector 1.
Yes, Simon Frelick then 5th place, Sandeep Singh into 4th place. Oh, that's a bit of a twitch then from that Royal Blue racing car underneath. Simon Frelick tries to get the power down on towards the back straight, and riding on board then with Silver Joffe in 14th place at the moment, trying to chase down, I believe that's Tom van der Voort up ahead of him. And you can see even on the onboards how little you can see when you're actually following the car behind. this wet weather tyres, intermediates, no matter what you're on, they do produce a significant amount of spray, and that does lead to visibility issues. You've got the little red light on the back of these cars, but at high speeds, they don't do a lot of those little red lights.
No, they don't. It's like I said, it's mentally fatiguing, all the concentration that goes into this. That timing screen is now updating, so it is Grangfist from Butcher, Frelick, Stevens, Polenz, McGilgy, Singh, Platt, Maguire, Faber, but Butcher, Frelick, Polenz and Maguire all on the inters of this stand.
Oh, he wanted to move on Pascal Polenz there, didn't he? Getting the power down, and Pascal Polenz still on the intermediate tyres. They almost come to blow there as McGilgy trying to go round the outside through the final couple of corners, as now that is Pascal Polenz bringing the car into the pit lane, but McGilgy then getting close, up close and personal, but he is now into P6 with that pit stop. There's Tom Stevens then, and trying to get his way past Simon Frelick. Frelick is still on the intermediate tyres as Stevens then tries to get onto the back of that rear diffuser, looks to the right hand side, trying to grab the inside line, going in towards turn 4. Side by side they run, and Stevens with the wet weather tyres, with the superior grip, managing to get the power down a lot easier than Pascal Polenz. He now moves himself up into second place.
Yeah, that was on Frelick. The timing screen hasn't updated properly. That was on Frelick for P2. Yeah, so Frelick's still on the inters. Polenz pitted for wet down to P8 now and back behind Dylan Platt, would you believe it? Maguire still on inters as well. He'll lose time. Probably drop behind Fasserman, Herlock, Faber, potentially Van der Voort, depending on how long he takes in the pits. So, yeah, this is starting to shuffle itself back out. But Butcher is down to P6 again. Frelick will lose time. Frelick will drop behind him. So Singh has jumped Butcher actually in this pit stop phase. Where the tyres definitely the correct tyres to be on. And we've seen that now with Stevens on Frelick and Polenz losing out to McGilgy.
Indeed, and still a Super Venturi 1-2 on our timing screens. There's Sandeep Singh then, currently running in 5th as we see it on those wet weather tyres. And Simon Frelick though still on the intermediate tyres. He's showing no signs yet of pitting in, but those lap times are really going against him at the moment. Compare them to Jan Grangfist, to 20.4. Simon Frelick's last lap time 25 flat. That is a huge difference there. A 20.4 I should say compared to a 25.0. That is a huge gulf there between the two tyres around a track that, well, you lap in the wet here at just around 80 seconds. That's a massive margin.
Yes, a little bit horrific at the moment, isn't it? But I guess he's just trying to do anything that gives him a chance at the moment, because he hasn't been at the races. He's been dropping back anyway in whatever conditions. So I think he's just trying his best to get himself towards the front. 30 laps in then. Of 59, so just past halfway, and we've only, considering the conditions, we've only had 7 retirements, which is pretty good, but it means that only one person at the moment is going to finish outside the point, so you don't want to be that person. At the moment it's Noah Tuamela, who's a lap down on Alex Heigo, but plenty of time still to go, as we said, just past half race distance.
To point that out, poor Noah Tuamela, that was just so unnecessary, Ewan.
Factual.
I guess it is factual, but I guess facts hurt sometimes. Pascal Polenz, meanwhile, on the back of Dylan Platt. They're going to run side by side then as they make their way on towards the start-finish line. Platt on the inside. Polenz will have to go the long way round if he wants this move done then. Braking, throwing on the anchors, and Pascal Polenz swooping around the outside of Dylan Platt moves himself and the Road to Formula car up into 7th place. And, well, the next target will be Chris Butcher, who's about 5 seconds up the road.
Yeah, and crucially, Butcher is absolutely flying. He's miles faster than anyone else. 120.7 on the last lap. And just to give you an idea, the leader doing a 121.6. Stevens in second, 121.5. McGilgy in third at 123.2. Butcher is flying, and he's about a second faster than Polenz at the moment as well. But Polenz really should be up in P2, remember, had he not pitted just before the rain shower. So I'm lucky for Polenz to see what he can do to grab himself back, because that was a beautiful move into this NRS.
Yeah, he's got a bit between his teeth, hasn't he? It's fair to say for Pascal Polenz.
Absolutely.
He knows he's a pit stop down. He knows he's lower down than maybe he could be, but It's now behind him. He's got to try and focus on the race ahead. Here comes Adrian Faber then on the back of Sylvie Yoffert, pulling to the left-hand side of the track, trying to go down the inside in towards turn 1 then, as they almost come to blows then in towards turn 2. He'll have the battle then. He'll have to move round the outside into turn 2, gets the power down through turn 3. He does get the move done on Sylvie Yoffert. We've seen cleaner moves, but that is a move for position. Adrian Faber now up into P14.
That's what's known as pinching the apex from both drivers. That was, wasn't it? That was, oh, and look at that, someone else has gone wide in front. I think, though, that is a... Who was that going wide in front of them? It's someone that has lapped them, I believe. I couldn't see quite who it was. But yeah, not ideal for Yoffert falling back behind. Is that Frelick? No, it can't be. Yeah, it is. It's Frelick on the inters. He's got no grip at all, is he? He's just falling backwards. So, yeah, so Joffre then. Oh, Frelick keeping those clean. So, yeah, Joffre going backwards, but as you rightly said, it wasn't the cleanest of moves from either of them, just as they were pinching each other at the apex.
Let's have another look at that then, as we'll have a replay of Maxi Geisker in the pit lane. I suppose it's not so bad being in the pit lane and this race. You get to cool off. You don't have to worry about these conditions, how much they change, as we see Noah Tuamela trying to get his way back into the points. His 2 front wings he's lost this race so far. Chris Butcher, meanwhile, we're watching on from him in 6th place right now. So he makes his way now through in towards the Senna S, and it's now come up as 5th place because Simon Frelick is finally into the pit. But the mountain of time he has lost, Ewan, is, well, gargantuan. It's just to say the least.
It's not ideal. I wonder, because both him and Maguire have just pitted. I wonder if they can get to the end on this set of wet tyres.
Yeah, well, the drivers have been saying these wet weather tyres are very, very durable, I guess would be the word. So there is the possibility of that one. The only issue is that they've got to hope that this rainfall keeps going at the same rate so that they have the standing water so they can keep the tyres cool.
Yeah, and that's a big thing with these tyres at the moment, is the dry tyres especially, is this, they don't actually wear that much, but it's the temperature that to force all the pit stops. So we'll see if it's the same when we're on the wet compounds. But Butcher, he's all over the back of Sandeep Singh.
I think this is the first time in this race we've had all the field do a lap around the circuit on exactly the same time. We didn't even have that at the start of the race because we had Stalrengi hit in and go onto a set of dries at the end of the formation lap. So we sacrificed that grid position to roll the dice. So this is the first lap. We've had all drivers on exactly the same compound of tyre. That is a very weird stat to have.
Yeah, I'm just having a look at the gas between. Remember, McGinley is right up behind Tom Stevens. There's 10 seconds between them now. He's really not happy in these conditions on McGinley. The Stevens is a lot faster. To be honest, everyone else is a lot faster as well. Singh even is in the 123s, but half a second up. Polenz and Butcher are going to be closing on to those three. Before you know it, Butcher already over the back of Sandeep Singh. About 10 seconds separates Singh and Butcher, but Butcher will catch up to McGinley in no time if he carries on as he is.
Yep, looking to try and get a move done on Sandeep Singh, sitting in 4th place at the moment. So he makes his way back onto the power. Up the hill they climb towards turn 10. Butcher, he knows this is an important move, because with Luke Maguire in 11th place, he's just having a look at the gap between himself and Joe Hurlock. The gap is 12.8. Luke Maguire is lapping quicker than Joe Hurlock, so that could be a position there. But Chris Butcher knows that if he can get his way past Sandeep Singh, that puts THR pretty much in the driver's seat to try and wrap up the team's championship. But we know Sandeep Singh is no slouch. He is not going to give up that 4th position without a right old tussle.
No, what they have done is they've cleared the traffic that was in front of them now, so they can just focus on it between themselves. But Butcher got deep there, they're trying to make the move, sort of thought better of it, didn't go for it in the end, got deep, had to avoid Sandeep Singh and lost a little bit of time. So he's not going to be able to make a move, as I think that is Leho in the background. Yeah, making contact with the wall, spinning out of the CNRS, but luckily escaping without any damage. Butcher still couldn't get the move down into the skid of the Heigo.
Fortunately losing that back end puts himself down into P15. Well, that's still a point there as Chris Butcher slightly loses the back end there, catches it in some style. It just shows you, even with these wet weather tyres that are supposed to displace that 70 litres of water a second at 200 kph, these tyres still could be you could aquaplane. It is so tricky, these conditions. As you say, the mental fatigue in order to drive these tyres, drive these cars in these treacherous conditions is nothing short of amazing to watch.
Yeah, and then throw into the mix that you're actually trying to overtake someone, another squirrel. Like, it's so difficult in the traction zones, especially up the hills. The tyres are trying to gain some purchase to thrust the car up the hills. So difficult for all of them. So Butcher has dropped back a little bit. You know, he was right up behind Sandeep Singh on the last lap. That's McGinley back into the pits. So
what tyres does he put on, I wonder? Or is this just a case of getting these tyres now to the end of the race? He'll leave the pit lane, back onto the power. Might have actually seen the gap between himself and Sandeep Singh. Dylan Platt is also into the pits. We've also got, I think that's Lou, into the pit. Might have had damage. Let's see. No, it's just a change of tyre. No, it is. It is damage for Lou. And that's going to mean that Dylan Platt has to be held and has to wait a long old time to get himself onto a fresh set of tyres. That's because Lou had that damage, had to repair it, but of course that didn't factor in when Dylan Platt stopped for his one. That's a good 7-8 seconds that Platt lost in the pit lane there.
Yeah, that's no good for TRG because it's always not what they would have been after, and Platt was in a decent position, whereas Frelick can be compared to him. Yeah, Frelick's miles ahead, even Vasserman's ahead now. So Platt down into P9, but ahead of Joe Herlock, as you can see, who is behind.
The Super Venturis have pitted. They went for the double stack then. The gap was around roughly 7 seconds between them when they stopped, so it looks like they've done that to perfection there. Jan Granqvist leaving the pit lane on a fresh set of wet weather tyres. So too does Tom Stevens. Yellow flags out there in Sector 1. Jan Granqvist then exits the pit lane. And I do believe he's going to rejoin still in the lead of the race, because that was Sandeep Singh just at the top of your picture, making his way through with Chris Butcher. And that's going to leave Tom Stevens behind the two of them, battling away for position. Now, Tom Stevens there, obviously there's a second or two in that, and he could have jumped these two and rejoined ahead of them. Now he's royally in this battle now. That is not where Super Venturi is probably one of the last places they wanted Tom Stevens to rejoin this one. He's going to lose a bit of time here. That is, of course, if he can try and find his way past in the first place.
Oh, it's so close. He's almost pushing Butcher through the middle sector now up into Speaker Zapato. So, yeah, Stevens, what they've got to remember is that because of McGilguy's pit stop, he's got such a big buffer. He can pretty much stay behind these two until they pit and not worry too much. But Tom Stevens, of course, is a racing rider, and he likes overtaking people. So, you know, logic doesn't usually come into the brains of these guys. Let's see what he'll do. He's got so much pace actually on the fresher tyres. He might actually make a move, but he's going to have to look to the outside now. Dummy's back to the inside into the first corner, overlaps. Beautiful move on the fresher tyres for Tom Stevens.
That was a beautiful move from Tom Stevens there. It was almost like playing a puppet there out of Chris Butcher.
Oh, look how much drive he's got as well. Look how much drive he's got. He's straight past Singh into the Skida de Lager. I mean, that was... If ever you wanted to see what fresh tyres do for you, I mean, that was it. That was beautiful from Tom Stevens. And just as I said, you can stay behind, both of them out. And look, Singh's right under attack as well from Butcher, but there's no real way of getting through into Ferradura, and the THR has to sit behind them.
Yeah, Chris Butcher couldn't quite take advantage of Tom Stevens trying to muscle his way through, which he did on the fresher tyres. They now make their way through turn 9, back onto the power up towards turn 10, and Chris Butcher here in 4th place as it stands. And some decent points for THR. Yellow flags somewhere out in sector 2, which have now been cleared. Butcher sets his sights then on what is right now P3, but they got McGilgey behind them as well, who has already pitted, about 7.8 seconds behind. So this is not for a net third, if you like, but it is for 3rd place right now.
It is, and as you know, that's singing to the pits then. So Butcher will probably go one more lap again and try and. So we know then, having seen it, that Frelick, the reason Frelick extended is because he wanted to get to the end on the tyre that he's on. That's clearly the game that he's playing. I think that's Faber in front as well. It's in the pits. Yeah, it is. Yeah. So Sandeep Singh's going to have a little bit of traffic to get through on his outlap. Let's see if Butcher can capitalise.
See where Sandeep Singh can rejoin in this race. It's going to be close between himself and Pascal Polenz as they make their way on towards the back stretch. Where is Pascal Polenz then, I wonder? I thought it was going to be close, but Sandeep Singh has rejoined now. Seconds back, so there we go. There is Pascal Polenz. So Polenz then, who's had a bit of a tough race, never seemed to be on the right tyre at the right time, but now he's back up into 5th place. So let's see what he can do from here. David Wasserman then is a little bit of a tussle here with Joe Herlock in the Red Arrow Racing Machine up ahead of him. This is for battle for P8. Here comes David Wasserman down the inside, launching it there in towards turn 1, and he does get the move done, moving himself now up into 8th place.
Yeah, and Platt was also in the pits, so that's why he's up into he's into 9th.
Oh,
I think so. Platt's lost his rear wing.
Oh dear. Well, I'll have to have an investigation into how Dylan Platt lost his rear wing.
And there's Butcher coming in the background as well.
So yes, Butcher now into the pits. Yeah, interesting about Dylan Platt into how he lost that rear wing in the first place. He was running quite strong there, but unfortunately, Owen McGilgy then into 6th place. Let's have a look at a replay then. I'm assuming this is going to be Dylan Platt. Well, that was an incident there. 2 cars involved.
So Red Arrow, I imagine it's Tromella.
Could well be, but Dylan Platt, without a rear wing, having to go the whole way round on the lap. I think riding on board with Dylan Platt then, earlier on in the lap. So we see he'll make his way through in towards the first sector at least. It's the exit of the Centre S at turn 3. That's where everything starts to go wrong. The TR Geeks Energy driver make his way at the top of the Centre S through in towards turn 1.
There's a red
arrow.
So
that is Tuamela. Does he back end? He managed to gather it back up. How does this all unfold?
Tuamela didn't see him.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Miscommunication there, and Dylan Platt unfortunately on the receiving end of that one.
Yeah, the thing I don't understand, and I don't know whether it's the conditions, but Tuamela was on the left hand side and all of a sudden swung across to the right. So it's either poor driving or it's the conditions playing a part. I think that's Frelick into the pits, which I wasn't expecting, but it is Frelick into the pits. So he just stayed on the inters too long, probably hoping something would happen rather than strategically, because he's already back into the pits. Surprised by that one.
Yeah, surprised by that one as well, as he'll stop the car, hop on a set of tyres and try and get himself to the end now with I'm trying to work out the maths. There's been so much maths in this race, I'm struggling to keep up, but we've got 19 laps remaining of this one, 18 and a bit if you're picky. It is Jan Granqvist leading the way from Tom Stevens and Owen McGilgy rounding off the top 3. Watching on from Luke Maguire. Now, he has had a tough race today. Got into an incident very early on in a THR car, but trying to get his way past Joe Herlock, couldn't quite find that way through. Joe Herlock slamming the door shut on the exit of Jean-Sao. We make our way on towards the start-finish straight. Luke Maguire, you can see the pace he has against Joe Herlock in the Red Arrow Racing Machine. Luke Maguire moves to the inside, gets onto the anchors. That's Joe Herlock almost into the back of Luke Maguire then. Maguire managing to get away with it. The Irishman now up into the top 10. That's great news for THR. The more positions he gains, the more secure their title will be come 19 laps time.
Yeah, I imagine there's a bit of push to pass in that one, because he picked up a lot of speed halfway down the straight. So good move though for Luke Maguire back into the top 10. Good lord, you and sort it out. Yeah, plenty of changes though, and interestingly, Luke Maguire is now the last of the people who've been lapped. So only the top 8 haven't been lapped by race leader Jan Granqvist. That's how dominant he's been.
As well as that, that's how many tyre calls he's got right. That's the other thing as well. The 2 Super Venturi cars.
Back in.
He's back in. Well, Not sure what's going on with the Royal Blue Racing
He
machine.
must have picked up a penalty because he's driving straight through.
Yeah, that was exactly it. Well spotted, Ewan, with that drive-through penalty. So he must have spared in the pit lane with his previous frolic into the pit lane. Going to put him even further down the order. Chris Butcher then 6th place. And just behind Sandeep Singh then. I'm sure Chris Butcher is... Sandeep Singh has been a bit of a thorn in his side for this race as Simon Frelick gets a penalty. I don't know if that's the new penalty or whether that was the one before, but...
I think that's the one before.
It would be very harsh if he's... in other words, if he's managed to get himself a penalty whilst serving a penalty, that is quite an achievement, but not an achievement in the great sense. So let's hope that's for the one he's already just served. Chris Butcher then right onto the back now of Sandeep Singh. And Sandeep said to me after his podium in Japan that he was expected to go, he wanted to pick it up. Last to first challenge at Brazil. He didn't start last, unfortunately, so I'm going to hold him to that one. I'll ask him why he didn't. He promised me 4 weeks ago that would happen.
You should know in this business, promises don't mean too much until they're actually done. There's people off in the background, though, I think.
I did notice that.
Or was I imagining something?
I don't think you were imagining something. Well, I think you're absolutely spot on, but unfortunately I just couldn't see who that was. Noah Tuamela. Oh, that is a car off.
It's a drag. It's Tom van der Voort. There's another one as well.
That's off at turn 3.
There's another one behind him.
Is that... try and find who that is as well. Joined
That's
on,
Van der
but
Voort out.
such a shame for Van der Voort running in the points, looking for a strong finish. Tuamela. Meanwhile, Luke Maguire has got himself into 9th place and is now trying to chase down David Wasserman and to see what he can do from this position. He managed to make the move on Joe Hurlock. He's now got, I think this is a bit of traffic to dispatch off first, and then the next car is the car for position David Wasserman. So blue flags will be waving. I'm sure Luke Maguire will be on his team radio wanting the blue flags to be waved at the moment.
Yeah, I'm gonna just going back to that incident. I think Silver Yoffe was involved as well. I thought I saw a red airbox, and he hasn't crossed the timing line in a long time. So I think Yoffe may have been involved in that one as well. Let's see what comes of that. But yeah, as you're saying, this is Maguire on the back of Grankvist, isn't it? Yeah, so he's actually following Grankvist around.
That'd be why there's no blue flags then. That makes sense now. It's all adding up, Ewan. It's all adding up. Well, I'm sure he'll be absolutely loving this tow he's getting from the race leader as he makes his way on towards the start-finish straight. He's actually looking for a move, and I think, Jan Grankvist wisely chooses not to put up a fight with Luke Maguire. He's got other things on his mind. I mean, he could have tried to hold him up and see if he could just steal a couple of points away from THR, but there's just a risk that Jan Grankvist is not going to make. He's got a Drivers' Championship to be thinking about. Yeah,
and as you can see, Wasserman is not too far down the road for Maguire. That is the white car directly in front of him. Meanwhile, the other THR of Chris Butcher is still all over the back of Sandeep Singh and now in the slipstream a little bit as well. So let's see, will he make a dive bomb down the inside? No, he won't. But this time, like, he's going wider, trying to get a bit of air onto that front wing, and now he's going to try and follow Singh through, get a nice bit of drive out of the S's. Singh all over the place actually in the traction zone, and Butcher's got a fantastic opportunity. He's going to have to go to the outside of this Gale de Lago to make this move, and Singh has positioned his car beautifully. Butcher pushing him a little bit though as he carries the speed through the apex. Great defensive driving from Sandeep Singh though.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I said before, he's not going to let that position go without a fight. Speaking of a fight, here's Luke Maguire on the back of David Wasserman then as they make their way on towards the start finish straight. Luke Maguire swoops to the inside this time around, and look at that, absolutely trying to get that position done. He moves over to the racing line before the braking zone, well before the braking zone. Luke Maguire now up into 8th place, and well, by all accounts, this result has been quite, well, obviously We've not got to the checker flag yet, but considering the start that Luke Maguire had, he's done a fantastic job to now get himself up into 8th place. It's quite a long way to Simon Frelick, so he might try to settle down, put some consistent lap times in and make sure that 8th place is his. But my goodness, what a race it's been for that second THR car of Luke Maguire. The Irishman has done well to get it back up to 8th.
Yeah, and he's done a similar job on his recovery run in Mexico last time out, and then tech issues took him out of the race right at the end, and like I said, effectively out of the championship earlier on. So he's come back with essentially nothing to lose, and again proving just why he is one of the best drivers on the grid. So Granqvist and Maguire, really, both of them have missed races. Granqvist missed 2, I think. Maguire missed one. If you put them back into those races, they'd be a fair bit ahead of the rest of the pack. I think Frelick, in his credit, has been extremely consistent, and that is why he's in this fight. But it looks as if that fight is coming to a close now.
Yes, it does indeed, but I have to say it's been a great fight whilst it's lasted, at the very least. Great battle between two great drivers, and great to see them battle hard until the very end. We've had great racing on show, pretty changeable conditions that seem to have settled down. But when I say settled down, it means that it's been raining for the last half an hour to 40 minutes, so that's been consistent in that sense. But we are heading towards the end of what has been a very, very eventful season, Ewan, and Granqvist leading the way by just over 10 seconds ahead of his teammate Tom Stevens. Owen McGilgy in 3rd place, Sandeep Singh in 4th, Chris Butcher, we're watching him in 5th place, Pascal Palent in 6th, Simon Frelick in 7th, with Luke Maguire in 8th, David Wasserman in 9th, Joseph Herlock in 10th, Adrian Faber in 11th place, Dylan Platt 12th, Silver Joffa in 13th place, Alex Liu in 14th, Noah Tuamela in 15th, and Tom van der Voort 16th place. And meanwhile, a bit of traffic to contend with there, as that's Dylan Platt trying to get moves done. Oh, there's a little bit of loss of control then. Managing to get away with that one is Dylan Platt. I'm sure he didn't want to end up with more damage than he already has.
Yeah, and that was on Adrian Faber for 11th place, so both drivers doing well to keep in a straight line in the end as Platt goes wide then into the middle sector. Yeah, some dicey stuff going on, isn't it?
I think that's an understatement, really. Some dicey stuff, but no, you're absolutely right. It's been you have to watch through spread fingers at this rate if you're one of the team managers, but it has been one of those races, but none of those have seemed to have affected our championship leader heading into this race. And as it stands, looking to wrap this up with a bow with 25 more points, Jan Granqvist's rivals, meanwhile, Pascal Palens, well, he was on 170 before the start of this race, as Adrian Faber is into the pits then. From 12th place, locking up the rears. He tries to slow down for the pit speed limit. Owen McGorgy also into the pit lane, I believe. No, just an error on my part. It's Noah Tuamela into the pits as well as he crosses the pit lane's line. Chris Butcher, again, maybe a bit of second, third, what is it now? 4th, 5th win for Chris Butcher on the back of Sandeep Singh. This battle for P5 has come alive again.
Yeah, it's come back alive, but he needs to get to the inside out of the Senna S to have any chance, because Singh has positioned his car beautifully in defence. So they're still about 6 seconds back from no they're not, ignore me, they're about 14 seconds back from Tom Stevens, not 6. So, but Singh will be fighting for all his worth for 3rd. Ignore the captions on screen, because Granqvist and Stevens are in the pits actually. Granqvist and Stevens in the pits, the front 2. So Granqvist and Stevens into the pits for a double stack for a new set of tyres. They'll come out in 1st and 2nd, no problem. And maybe Stevens actually might drop behind, but then Singh is 3rd, Butcher 4th. Butcher's actually just come through, I think. That's because Singh's pitting. So actually a lot less tyre life than we thought there would be on these wet tyres.
Yeah, and we were thinking before that the last stop should be able to get them to the end. Well, even if they were to eke them out to the end, this is at least a safety stop. They've got the gap. Why not put on a fresh set of wets and just make it sure that you can make it to the end of the race? Granqvist rejoining in the lead of the race, and Tom Stevens, I think, has rejoined in second place according to our timing screen, so he's done that one to perfection as well. Chris Butcher in third. Pascal Polenz, we're watching on from him, he's in fourth place at the moment, with Owen McGorgy in fifth and Sandeep Singh in sixth. So Polenz then looking to see what he can do, but again, it's just a case of these drivers are well, as we've seen from the top two, going to have to stop again if they really want to make these tyres last to the end.
Yeah, you have to think so. And that will be interesting because the tyre strategy is all over the place in terms of when people last pitted, so we'll have to wait to see how that one plays out. But Granqvist and Stevens in a league of their own, they're going to be so far ahead when the tyre strategies do play out. Butcher now, if he does need to pit, he's going to fall back from Singh, and he's just going to have to hope that fresher tyres pull him back towards it, because Singh will be rapid on that fresher rubber. And Polenz is doing a nice job as well, isn't he, in the Road to Formula race in P4, and they should wrap up an easy P4 in the standings as well for the team.
Yeah, they should do indeed, and quite an easy one. I think it was already decided that P4 was going to be the lowest they could finish after today's racing action, no matter what. But still, to put the cherry on top of what has been a good season for the Road to Formula team, themselves into at least the 300-point barrier.
Yeah, Platt's back into the pits, so he's feels like he's every other lap for him at the moment, but a new set of tyres, no doubt. Maguire also into the pits. Butcher rally driving on those tyres. They look as if they've given everything they want to at the moment. Let's see what Singh is doing in comparison to Butcher. Actually, yeah, 4/10 in the first sector though, so Butcher will lose a lot of time if he carries on any longer.
Yeah, but I wonder if there's a point of no return. We've got 9 laps to go. Is there a point where Butcher says, you know what, it's too late to go on a set of fresh tyres, maybe I should just go, and he's going to nip that theory in the bud right there and then as he comes in for a set of fresh tyres. I mean, if you're slightly lower down the grid and you have the dice to roll, perhaps you would try and take those wet weather tyres to the end. You might lose a mountain of time, but when you weigh it up against a pit stop and how long it takes you to get from pit lane entry to exit, do you lose that much time on the grand scale? And then, of course, there's the fresh, wet tyres to make up that pit stop from the drivers behind. So it might be worth a risk if your tyres are looking like they're going slightly out of date right now. But in the terms of Chris Butcher, he's thinking, no, let's just get this car to the end. These are valuable points for THR. And with Chris Butcher, even if he rejoins there in 6th place, they're still very, very good points indeed for THR. Should be enough to wrap up the teams if he sees that Red Arrow Racing to his right-hand side, which he does. And rejoins now in 6th place with a fresh set of tyres. But as you said, and as you predicted, he's lost a mountain of time to Sandeep Singh. It's around 4 or 5 seconds he's lost.
Yeah, huge gap, isn't it, between the two of them? That is just the fresher tyres working. But he's got, what, a lap, 2 laps? That he can use now. He'll pull that in probably in the next few laps. Granqvist, though, still far enough ahead, and he's got Maguire almost in formation flying in behind him as the championship protagonists, of course, this season.
Absolutely. And Granqvist at the moment did well. He turned up right at the end, and back-to-back victories at Japan and Mexico over the last 4 weeks have really put him as the championship favourite. Of course, he missed rounds in Canada and at the British Grand Prix, didn't finish at Azerbaijan. He got his first win at the second round of the season. He's won 4 more times since then, at Austria, at Belgium, at Japan and at Mexico. And since Austria, he has not finished outside of the top 5 once. He's finished off the podium once, and that was at Singapore. Such an imperious run towards the back end of the season is the reason why Granqvist was leading the championship heading into the final round.
Yeah, and he's turned it on when he needed to, hasn't he? I know that all of the races carry the same amount of points, but for some reason they seem to hit harder when you do it in the second half of the season. That's what Jan Granqvist has done. Overcome the tech issues that kept him out of 2 races, and this drive again is just as beautifully anonymous as some of his other wins have been. Oh, whoa! What was that? Was that? that was a mess, and they've got to come on without taking anyone else out. I think it was Leho and Joffre. I may be wrong. Apologies if I am, but I thought it was Leho and Joffre.
To see if we can find that one again, but as the leader passes through, no less. I think Joffre, you're right, was one of them as he makes his way up the hill. But we'll have to see if we can.
And that is Leho, yeah, number 17, Leho and the Geeks.
Let's have a look and see if this is going to be what happens. So this is Joffre and Lou. They make their way now over the line towards turn 1, battling away. So Lou gets the job done. Sylvie Joffre, it's Lou loses the back end. Then there's contact made between the two of them, and they will get themselves in a bit of a tangle there. Towards the end of the season, that was a bit of an odd one.
It was just a bit clumsy, wasn't it? I don't think anyone was to blame. I think it was just two people not having any grip in pretty rubbish conditions. So, collect yourselves, move on. Hopefully there's no damage. Carry on, keep fighting, try again next lap. Sandeep Singh now in P4 because his teammate Pascal Polens pitted and has gone back down to P6. So Polens pitted P6. There's Grand Fist from Stephen, McGinley, Singh and Butcher, the top 5.
Absolutely, and as we head towards these closing stages, it is looking desperately, frantically trying to look up the points, but they are as they were. THR, as it stands, are going to do enough to wrap up the team's championship here at Brazil. We still have those 5 laps remaining of this race. Well, 5 and a bit if you're picky. Grangfist leads though from Tom Stevens, and Stevens stepping in, and he's done a fine job, hasn't he? You know, he was always going to help Grangfist win and get us into second place, or at least you finish in second. Grangfist finishes first. We rely on the THRs not to have a great day. I mean, Tom Stevens has done his end of the bargain. He's had a fantastic time today.
Yeah, Tom usually ran cameras for us, of course, on Superlights, and clearly showing us a waste of talent with this. I was really hoping to be able to rip into him a little bit, but not able to at all with this drive. Still 10 seconds off though, so a bit to find for him. But Grangfist and Pierce, Polens all over the back of Butcher though on the fresher tyres.
Is indeed, as we'll see now, we do have 5 laps to go of the season, and that is a worrying red DNF next to Owen McGorgy's name at the moment. Hopefully that is I'm hoping it's not. That is real. Owen McGorgy retires from 3rd place with 5 laps to go, and he had himself a bit of a quiet second half of this race, but that's never a bad thing if you're running up the order. Let's see what happened to the Go Speed driver who qualified on pole position. This is heading our way through in towards turn 5, now onwards towards turn 6 and 7. Make his way down the hill then. 8 and 9. Gets back onto the power, and now making his way on the run towards turn 10. And here, is it on the exit of turn 10 perhaps?
It's a disconnect.
It's a disconnect. It is a disconnect for Owen McGorgy. The internet wouldn't last another 5 laps, it wouldn't last another 20 kilometres, and that unfortunately for Owen McGorgy is the end of his season, and well, a chance to grab a podium snatched away by the internet. That's a heartbreaking way to end the season.
Yeah, it's not how you want it to go, is it? Really awful luck, to be honest. Really awful luck for him to... I mean, he was easily up in the top 5, wasn't he? Probably on the podium, unless something dreadful happened. Unfortunately, something dreadful did happen. But Sandeep Singh, he's up into P3, and now there's a real 3-way fight on for the podium.
Isn't there just? We've got Singh, Butcher and Polens all battling it out for a podium position. Now, if you're Chris Butcher in this fight, your points are so valuable to the team at this point. Well, how much of a risk did THF let him take? I mean, they want the podium, so does Chris Butcher, but they also want those valuable points.
Yeah, you've got to let him go for the podium, haven't you? Surely.
That was an easy answer than I was expecting, Ewan. But yes, you do. Chris Butcher, meanwhile, has got his rear mirrors full at the moment of Pascal Polens as they make their way on towards the back straight. 4 laps to go, 3 and a bit if you're picky. Pascal Polens looks to the left-hand side of our picture screens as he looks for a move down the inside in towards turn 5 there, but no room there. He has to back out of it, but the more Butcher battles, the more Singh can spring away.
He thought about it, didn't he? He thought about it down the hill, couldn't get it done. It does look more likely that Polenz will get Butcher than Butcher will Singh. I think that in behind is Platt, isn't it, who's only just pitted, so he'll be fast and a pain for these three on fresh or rubber. We know that Platt's got the speed, he was up in the top 6 earlier on, but obviously the mistakes and the issues of putting down the order a little bit. Only 3 laps left then. Grangfist 10.2 now ahead of his teammate.
Yeah, 3 laps of this championship, which has been twisting and turning, whichever way you want. It's been fantastic to watch in the latter half of the season. As we see now the conclusion, very, very close. Only about 13 kilometres left of the championship left to run. Pascal Polenz wants P4 from Chris Butcher. Butcher actually closed in slightly on Singh in that last lap, but is it going to be enough towards the end of this race? 0.4 of a second was the difference between the two of them. So Butcher knows he's on a charge at the moment. As you said, Ewan, it's going to be a 3-way battle for P3 in this race.
Yeah, and it's interesting. The different cars seem to be stronger in different sections of the track. So you think that Butcher's getting closer to Singh, and then all of a sudden he can't make the move, and then you think that Polenz is getting close to Butcher, and then he can't make the move. So it's really yo-yo in between 3 of them. I think really it's all down to whether Singh can stay ahead of Butcher. I think if Singh loses out to Butcher, Polenz will go straight through and chase Butcher down. Look at the slide and the braking for Polenz. That was close.
It was close, wasn't it? Very, very close indeed. But Chris Butcher at the moment holding on to P4 as they make their way in towards the final braking zone of the circuit. And they get back onto the power. Potential move for Polenz as he makes his way now through the spray on towards the start-finish straight. Chris Butcher again just looking in those rear view mirrors, looking out for that Road to Formula racing machine. We make our way on towards turn 1, too far back for Polenz to try it this time around, but heading into these final couple of laps of the championship here, the GPVWC Superlights. Bows have yet to be tied at this Brazilian Grand Prix, and we're not very far away from doing that. We've also got a battle for the podium out on track to decide. But at the moment, Sandeep Singh, who's been defending so valiantly against Chris Butcher, he knows where to place the car here, Ewan, and I don't think that's going to change over the next 6 kilometres.
No, he's been outstanding in his defence, hasn't he? And would be absolute full value for that podium if he needs to. Polenz way wide. Just trying to find a way through and ended up getting it slightly wrong through Fedor now through the middle sector up into Pico de Patio, and Butcher looks closer through the middle sector to Singh than Polenz can get to Butcher, but then by the time they get to turn 4 it looks the other way around. So very interesting, but onto the final lap. We've got a champion waiting to be crowned.
We do indeed, and it is the Swede of Jan Grangfist who starts the final lap of the race. Tom Stevens, his teammate, 11.1 seconds behind. Super Venturi want to wrap this 1-2 up with a bow, as meanwhile Polenz looks to the left-hand side. He wants that move from Chris Butcher down the inside. He will go in towards turn 1. Butcher will try and hang it around the outside, gives him the inside line for turn 2. Now he finds himself on the outside as they get the power down through turn 3. Pascal Polenz, though, power down and powers through into 4th place. Polenz then on the charge. It might be too late for him to have a run on Sandeep Singh, but he's got the move on Chris Butcher there for P4 late on in this race. Meanwhile then, as the Super Venturi car of Jan Grangfist makes his way through the final couple of corners, it's going to be him who meets the checkered flag. It's going to be his name on the trophy too. It's Jan Grangfist who crosses the line to win the Brazilian Grand Prix and win the GPVWC Superlights 2022 Championship. The Swede has had such an imperious season towards the back end since Austria, not off the podium, only at Singapore. He has been absolutely astounding this season. Pascal Palenz then, meanwhile, will get the power down. He'll get one more chance, one more run to the line to see if he can nick a podium off of Sandeep Singh. Through they go through the final couple of corners. I think he's just going to run out of time and run out of race distance. Sandeep Singh across the line in third place with Pascal Palenz in fourth. Chris Butcher across the line in fifth place there for THR. A strong result for Chris Butcher. Some great battles out on track as well. That's one half of the THR stable across the line. There's Simon Frelick, a championship contender going into tonight, currently in sixth place, and will look to try and get his way across the line. And with this result, it would resolve and secure his runner-up position in the championship. There is your runner-up here in Superlights. Simon Frelick across the line to grab 10 points to add to that championship tally. It does secure that runner-up spot for Simon Frelick. And Luke Maguire, meanwhile, is there in seventh place. And, well, with that seventh place result, that does confirm THR as the team's champions. They are on 369 points compared to 359 for Super Venturi. Well, they finish 1-2 here, do Super Venturi. They will finish runners-up in the team's championship. But Jan Grankvist is your champion, your driver's champion for the GPVWC Superlights 2022 championship. Ewan, what a driver. What a fantastic season for Jan Grankvist. As you said, he had those technical issues that ruled him out of 2 races, and it never looked like it fazed him one bit.
Yeah, thoroughly deserved, as we said. The form came ramping up in the final half of the season, whilst his rivals had a few issues, struggled for pace. Jan Grankvist continued to do well and might end up colliding with each other in a minute. Those two theories on the grid. Yeah, no, fantastic for Jan Grankvist. I have to say, though, Simon Frelick, Luke Maguire, absolutely fantastic as well in creating such an exciting championship.
They have indeed, and full marks goes to everyone involved here at the GPVWC. It's been a fantastic season, and as you can see, our provisional race results here for the Brazilian Grand Prix. Jan Grankvist taking the win, Tom Stevens wrapping up a Super Venturi 1-2, Sandeep Singh rounding off the podium with Pascal Palenz. That late charge cut short by the checkered flag. He finishes in fourth place though. Chris Butcher in fifth with Simon Frelick in sixth. Luke Maguire finishes in seventh place, and that result for THR, a fifth and a seventh, is enough for them to wrap themselves up as the GPVWC Teams Championship in 2022. And you can see them enjoying the moment behind our screens there. David Wasserman in 8th place with Joe Herlock rounding off 9th, and Dylan Platt rounding off our top 10 drivers, and what puts off a rather frustrating day for Dylan Platt in the TR Geeks Energy, but he does manage to get 10th place in this race. Then looking through the rest of the order we have here, Adrian Faber in 11th place. It would be Sylvie Yoffa in 12th. Alex Liu in 13th place with Noah Tuamela in 14th place. Owen McGorgy was on for a podium, but cut short by those internet issues, working out 90%. It was close for 90%, so he might actually be able to keep that point for 15th place, but that's up to the jurors and the mathematicians to decide. But the rest of the order are definite non-finishers. Tom van der Voort, Maxi Geisinger, Dagoros Stauregi, Moritz Krupp, Ben Willis, rounding off 20, and then through the rest of the order, Mateusz Krzyzowski, Lewis Bickers, and Giuseppe Saracino, all non-finishers for the final round of the GPVWC. Well, Ewan, it's been a great season to watch on. I may have only joined late, but my goodness, the popcorn ran out quite a few times this season.
Yeah, you can stay because it's usually a good race when you turn up. Yeah, it was stunning. I mean, drama all the way through. Even today, sprinkling of rain kept us on our toes, didn't it? We've had some fantastic racing on track. Not much more to say. The best thing is that we can do it all again on Thursday when the Super League boys take it out onto the track and to finish their season off.
Absolutely, and we do have our champion here of the GPVWC Superlights Championship, Jan Grankvist. First of all, Jan, a huge congratulations to you. You are the champion. I mean, what are your thoughts after what was a very tough race out there in terms of conditions?
Yeah, thanks. It was, let's say it was an interesting race to start off, but quickly turned quite peaceful out there for Super Venturi, I gotta say. And yeah, I'm happy. It all turned out well after the sort of dodgy start or the dodgy first half of the season.
I mean, what's that like? Obviously, you were leading the championship heading into tonight. Did you feel any pressure heading into tonight's racing?
To be honest, not really. It was just a race like any other. And well, it was even for the first 2 laps, I was trying to battle Ewan, who set it into pole, and Marco was on my other ear trying to calm me down. No risks. And yeah, at the end, I did snap back to reality and remind myself that there was still a championship battle to be dealt with.
I mean, just looking back, Canada and Britain, races you had to be kept out of. I mean, talk us through them, because since then you have been off the podium once, bar that 5th place at Singapore. That was just a heck of a run towards the end of the season for you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's mainly thanks to my lovely sponsor, Overpower, who gave me this amazing rig to start off with. Yeah, the first season was done by a rig that I shall not name, which caused me a lot of trouble. But all's well that ends well with this rig. Honestly, I'm so happy with the rig and the championship.
Yeah,
proved itself amazingly.
Absolutely. Ewan, I don't know if you've got any burning questions for our champion.
No, I just wanted to say congratulations. Obviously, being here all the season, unlike Kieran, who joined late. And yeah, just fabulous stuff. And as Kieran rightly said, in the second half of the season, you were stunning. But it sounds as if we all need to try this incredible sim rig if it's that good, mate.
Absolutely. May I have another word, by the way? I heard I was called Swedish, apparently, on stream.
Oh, no.
Yeah, he's not Swedish.
No, definitely not. I don't know who could have done that, no.
Yeah, he's not Swedish.
That's an injustice I must correct.
Yeah, I couldn't cut you off full steam because you were delivering the championship finale so brilliantly. But,
and then I did that, but well, that's it.
You guys.
I'll never be let back in the commentary box again, Jan. I do apologise, but take nothing away. Congratulations on the championship, and well, we look forward to seeing what happens next season for you.
Yeah, thanks so much, guys, and thank you for commentating as well.
Congrats, Jan.
That's Jan Granqvist, then champion of Superlights. There, I can't believe I shot myself in the foot. I'll never be allowed back again. Oh dear, let's move on. Let's see if we can grab another driver. Oh, Ewan, why don't you do the honours? Let's see who we can grab in next time around. Who do you fancy a chat to?
Shall we bring in second in the race? Let's get through the race first. And let's bring in our usual cameraman, who I was hoping to take the nick out of, but he was actually quite good. Well done, Tom.
Hello, thank you very much.
So standing in for Super Venturi actually helped to get them second in the championship. I imagine you're pretty pleased with that.
Yeah, well, I sort of went into this race impartial, between THR and Super Venturi. I was just simply racing for myself, and yeah, got a great result out of it. So I've got to thank Marco and Jan for giving me the opportunity to drive.
So, plans for next season? Already thinking?
Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure I know what I want to do, and I would like to drive in Super League next year. Yeah,
no surprises, but I ask this question every year in Brazil when we get to Brazil, and I always ask the drivers, can they tell us what they're doing next season? And I know what answer you're going to give, but I've got to ask it anyway. So, what are you doing next season? Do you know what you're doing next season?
Well, I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised because if it all goes well, I'll be driving for THR next year in Super League.
Beautiful. That's very exciting. Well, I'll tell you what, talking about THR, we will bring in the title winners, if that's all right. We'll bring in Toby Davis, THR manager. We'll bring in Luke McGuire, who, of course, was in the championship right until the very end. Ended up P3 in the drivers, and Chris Butcher as well. All the THR boys in together. Congratulations all on the championship win.
Thanks very much.
Thank you very much.
So you're looking a bit hairy at the start though, Luke, especially for you. Trouble in the pit lane. What happened there?
Just carnage, really. Like I was in the fast lane and the car just suddenly braked and stopped in the middle of it. I think from there it would look very bleak, but we knew we needed to get the team's championship. And that was the biggest aim today. So yeah, the pace was quite decent in the wet, and I was keeping up with Jan the whole race. So yeah, what could have been, I guess.
And Chris, whilst Luke was fighting his way through, you were pretty steady up in the top 5 all the way and really hounding Sandy. Singh, he got ahead of you in the pit stops, and then it looked as if you were going to get through at some points. His defence kept you behind, and then pole ends and the fresher tyres sort of left you a little bit stranded. What is there anything else you could have done?
We probably left it one lap too late to pit right in the first stint, so that kind of set the tone for all of the pit stops. Really, to be honest, we were just sort of one lap off of everybody else. But yeah, I mean they were very fast in a straight line, so it was I was on full push to pass in a slipstream down the straight, and Sandy was still driving away from me. So it was pretty impossible, to be honest with you. And he put up a great defence. I got close a couple of times, but Sandeep's a good driver. He knows how to look after his tyres and place the car right. So it was just a case of once we knew we were safe for the championship, just not doing anything stupid and throwing it off of the road.
So, champions, Toby, congratulations. First, before we talk about what the future holds, how good have Luke and Chris been this season? Obviously, collecting it
Don't ask him that.
I'm asking him that, don't you worry.
Well, we absolutely dominated what was Super Cup last season with these two. What is now Formula Sprint 1. We obviously made the progression up to Super League Lights. It's been a little tougher, I would say. Luke certainly is. Luke and Chris both, I think, would say they haven't had the most consistent season, and could certainly have done with a couple more, more consistent results. Luke can look at a few times during the season where he kind of ran out of talent a little bit. But the pair of them have been good as gold for 2 full seasons. Couldn't wish for a better driver pairing, but things do change. We do move on a little bit, and we've got some fresher, younger talent coming through with Tom and Moritz. Me and Chris have been Bazzy mates for 12 years now, almost 13 years actually. So it's we've been around a little bit. So time to give some fresher blood some a bit of a go into HR, and that's what we're going to do.
What he's trying to say, Ewan, is we're getting too old for this.
Yeah, how old is too old is a question. No, seriously. So future, you're already saying that young blood's coming through, but Super League's next on the list, right?
Yeah, 100%. And our team, I think we've already discussed it before, but our team for the Super League car, should we get in, I have no reason to doubt that we will, being Super Lights teams champions, would be Luke Maguire and Tom Stevens, who won FS1 this season. So those two, I'm sure, will do an excellent job. Chris Butcher will stay in Super Lights with Moritz Kropp, his teammate, in the Nocturne car. So thankfully, it does help. We've got the two teams in the career ladder. They're sort of both under the THR umbrella, and we look forward to next season very much. Actually, I would say, Chris. Well, I don't know what your thoughts are, but that's my thoughts.
Yeah, I think it's been a really good learning season for us. The sort of the management system was completely new to us, and we don't really have any affiliations with any of the teams either. So it very much sort of learning it as we went along. We didn't really have any knowledge to lean on as such. And like that Tom Stevens was doing our reserve work this season. It was all sort of new to him as well. So yeah, it's going to be really exciting for the next year with the two teams, hopefully in Super Lights and Super League. We've got a better understanding of how it all works now, so hopefully we can put on a really strong showing in 2023.
Awesome stuff. Can't wait to see what the future holds for THR. Toby, Luke, Chris, Tom, congrats all. Tom, especially for P2 today as well. We'll see you very shortly, I am sure.
Thanks very much, mate. Nice one. Just want to say very quickly that it is a team effort, and there are other members of the team that I just quickly like to say thank you to. David Carter, Tom Ely, obviously Tom and Moritz have both done a great job behind the scenes for us as well. Adam Vaughan has helped us, so we've got loads of people behind the scenes. So thank you to everyone who's made this come about, this team's championship.
Cheers, Toby. Awesome. I can't believe you thanked David Carter, mind. Anyway, looking at P3 in the race today, he's joined us as well. Sandy singing for Road to Formula. It's a nice way to finish, isn't it, Sandy?
Yeah. Shame the weather's a bit crap. I mean, you have really garbage wet tyres that do like 8-10 laps. Yeah, that's fair, really.
To be honest, that caught us out in commentary, Sandy. We were thinking, hang on, they're pitting already. It looked difficult. It looked really difficult. You could see how much everyone was sliding, and you had Chris on your back wing for a lot of the second half of the race after you jumped into the pit stops. And there was one point he looked as if he was going to come around you in T4, but positioned the car perfectly. How was that battle for you?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I made a little mistake in turn 3, and then he had that 1/2 chance, and I was like, nah. Wasn't letting him try and cut back underneath me. I'm not falling for that. And then just once that was done, I felt it was a big game over. I mean, he did close up at the end, but I didn't really feel it under pressure. I was talking about A-level maths with some people, and their voice chat in the middle of the race. That's how chill out it was.
Sandy, you never changed.
Integration, differentiation. We were chatting about that. It was a casual race, to be honest. It was
Go on, I'll ask you the same question. You know what I'm like. Same question every year when you get to Brazil.
When will they next year?
Where does the future hold?
What are you doing next year? Are you staying around?
Of course I'm staying around.
All right, well, I'll stay. All right, if you do lights, I'll do lights, and I will make sure to get more podiums so we can have this casual chat after the race.
Now, hang on a minute, Sandy, because when we spoke at Japan, you said to me Brazil is last to first. Where was the last place start, Sandy? Where was it?
Pascal won in Mexico in Super League, and he said, "Can we get a 1-2 for thingy? Where are we? Brazil?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, let's go for it." And I didn't do last to first, but.
Well, I have to say anyway, as Ewan said, a real great battle between yourself and Chris Butcher, wrapping up third place in this race. I mean, you've had a really good end to the season. Lots of podiums for you.
Yeah, when I don't get punted, I deliver.
It's simple maths. There you go. It's all full circle.
Simple maths. I mean, I've dropped God knows how many points a season from this stupid driving from. What time is it? I mean, look, what's the Oxfam gonna do? They're gonna you can't take the stream now. It's after 9 o'clock. I can just say what I want.
I don't think Oxfam are going to do anything. I think it's more Ofcom you have to worry about.
Yes. Whatever it is, man. Whatever it is, but yeah. I mean, there have been some incidents that have annoyed me, but I've had some I can't remember podiums I've had. I've had a win given to me as well, which still feels okay, but. I wanted to win on track, but it never really happened. But I mean, on to next year. Let's see what happens. I've got a rough idea. I'm in lights, but all will be revealed which team I will be in driving for at some point between now and March, whenever the season starts.
Very mystic.
What you guys sticking around next year, Kieran? You joined mid-season. Have you enjoyed lights?
I very much enjoyed it, but calling Jan Swedish is not great for my CV.
Yeah, well, I did hear that on the engineer call. That was pretty funny. I was like,
that was fun. Everyone had a good laugh, but that might be a blot on the CV. Yeah, I've really enjoyed it. And,
are you putting a pitch in to be part of comms next year? That's what it feels like.
What do you mean? You want me to do comms?
Oh, this feels
very interview. What if I just commentate mid-lights race, as I'm driving?
And maybe we'll have to start doing that as a feature.
I'm going around the outside of Chris Butcher in turn 4. Way! Or something
great
like
idea.
that. I can do that.
Look, Sandy, great fun as ever having you in after the race. Hopefully you'll see you on the podium plenty next year. If you said that you're in lights, we'll be around. You'll be around. I think, Kieran, we better wrap up before he gets himself into any more trouble.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. But Sandy,
can I just say one more thing? All right, one more thing. It'll be good. All right, congrats, Jan, on your championship. You've been absolutely the benchmark this season. Ever since you got your equipment all sorted out. Like I think since Austria onwards, you've won like pretty much like 4 or 5 races or something. And then THR did THR win?
Indeed, yes.
All right, THR, good job this season. Like, what was it? Back-to-back championships from FS1 or whatever it was, Super Cup to now Lights. I mean, look forward to see how they do in Super League next season if they can make it like a free peak, because that would be a GPV record if they pull that off. And best of luck for them next year, and congrats on their title. And they've done a great job this season. And then hard luck to like Simon and Luke, because they've driven also great seasons. Like obviously Luke got the constructors he can celebrate with, but Simon, I mean, he was leading the championship earlier this season and had some bad luck. I mean, he will get his chance in the future for sure. He's a good driver and a good guy. And also, I thank my teammate Pascal. He's been a good help this season. Even though he's, we've had some fun this season. And thanks to Matteo for giving me a chance to drive. And yeah, that's it. Thanks.
Sandeep, thank you so much for joining us. And we look forward to seeing where you are next season.
Thank you. See ya.
Thanks, Sandeep. Very quickly, because I do remember that we do need to speak to him. Runner-up in the championship, Shimon Frelick. Shimon, congrats on second. Not quite to be championship-wise in a tricky race, but consistent all the way through the season. Got to be happy with the result in the end.
Well, this race wasn't the best. I've been getting progressively worse in the wet conditions during this season. But also I don't think I could have done anything to stop Jan from winning, because he's just been getting progressively better. And you can see in the final stint of the season, he was just getting first, second, first places. And the only win I got was Singapore, which is just the only circuit I'm very good at. But yeah, I think Jan deserved the championship. He was the better driver, and I think the better driver won in the end. But on the other hand, I think I did bowl the championship a little bit, because I think at one point it was like 60 something points to Jan. I think it was after round 9. So there's that. But I think Jan deserves it.
Just very quickly, before we wrap up, what are you doing next season? Do you know yet? Are you allowed to say yet? Will you tell us yet?
I'm not sure, to be honest. I still have to look into it, because I think next year is going to be relatively busy when it comes to my education. So I'm open to all series in the career ladder, to be honest. But first I'll look into which car is the most fun to drive.
Well, fingers crossed we will see you next season, because you've been fab to watch. And again, congrats on second in the championship. Fantastic all season, nice and consistent. Have a good winter, mate.
Thank you.
Thank you, Simon. And yes, congratulations on your runner-up spot. Hopefully we get to find out what you do next season. And Ewan, that wraps it up with a nice little bow. What has been a very interesting Superlights 2022 season, and limited time we've shared in the box together. I think we did all right.
I think we did all right. We'll get the nationalities right next season, though.
Hey, look, the season has finished, not Swedish. Sorry, Jan. Sorry, everybody. But anyway, no, thank you so much for everybody watching on. It's been a pleasure to have these races and call them for you as well. Well, for now, the season is over, but make sure you do subscribe to the channel. Make sure you head over to gpvwc.com for the latest news as to which championships will be up and running next. And if you fancy your chances of trying to get into the career ladder, well, head over to the website there, find out all the details about how you could be on that career ladder on your way to the top. Ewan, it's been a pleasure to call these races with you.
No, thank you so much, and it's been great fun having you alongside. Been great fun with all of the help that we've had in broadcast, with all the changes that have been going on behind the scenes as well. Thanks to Heigo tonight for stepping in for Tom Stevens. We've had Menno in here at some point. We had Stephen Lexo last time as well. So thank you every single person who helps make this work how it does. Remember though, Super League Thursday, last race of the GPVWC season.
Absolutely, join us for that exciting season finale. Until then, though, from myself, Kieran McGinley, and Ewan Gale alongside, it's been a pleasure to bring this race to you, and we'll see you again next season. Until then, take care of yourselves and have a very good evening. Good night.
Hey, someone needs to update those as well. Right, I'm not being rude. I've got to pop up because I've got a bit of stuff to do for work. But thank you so much, Kieran. I hope you stick around for next season because it's good fun.
Thank you very much.